Hello, 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 everyone. Um, Welcome to today's seminar on this is UAE Females Stories edition, sponsored by Trusted Advisors Group, all the way from the UAE. We had some technical challenges earlier, so apologies for the slightly late start. These things happen. Now we're also reliant on technology, and technology got the better of us just right at the beginning there. Um, so yes, welcome to you all. We have some really inspiring ladies on our session for today, and we're sort of looking forward to getting their insights for all of you as our audience. Um, we certainly hope that with our audience that we have a lot of ladies who will be able to resonate with the stories that we're going to hear from our panelists and also our keynote speaker. So I'm just going to introduce you all to our keynote speaker and also our panelists, and then we'll dive straight into having what would be an interesting conversation, right? We're getting some insights from our speakers. So, firstly, we have Jihan Bikaudi. She's the communication director for Central and Middle East Africa on behalf of Visa. And then we also have Nancy Nicholas. So Nancy is the Enterprise Customer Success Manager for Audacity. And we have Rowan. So Rowan is the Territory Manager for Wakatu, sorry. And then Shanir. So Shanir Khan is the Learning Programmer for Amazon. So, fantastic lineup of women leaders here from from global brands, and we certainly hope that you, as our audience, will find some use in the insights that they're going to share with us. So we're going to start with Jihan just giving us a quick start to the conversation, and obviously her perspective on the topic that we're going to discuss. Okay, so over to you, Jihan. Thank you very much again for joining us.
Hello. Let me know
Hi,
if I hope the sound is okay. And I
it's
apologize in
perfect.
advance for. Okay, great, perfect. I'll
Yeah,
start. Great.
great.
So
Yeah.
thank you for hosting me. My name is Jihan. I'm
Yeah.
corporate communications director, and I'm also a mom of two girls, 13 and 7 years old. I
That's
started my
great.
career around 14 years ago, exactly when I got pregnant. And I remember the day I had my first meeting with my line manager, who was the HRD, to talk
Mm,
about my annual targets. And it was funny because this is where I had to announce that I was 2 months pregnant. So it was
mm,
a quite interesting situation to start a career with. And
mm.
14 years later, here we are. I have quite progressed through my career. And
Right,
I wanted to share three things from my experience. First one
right.
is that looking backwards, I think that career progress depends on so many different factors on which we have no control. So your industry and how is it growing, your line manager, the unexpected job opportunities that will come your way. Um, let's be honest, like how many of us have been able to stick to this famous career plan that you discuss with your line
Mm,
manager and then submit before the deadline? And I even remember an initiative from our HR where we have received coffee mugs with our professional ambition. Like, here is mine.
oh,
And it
brilliant.
says Senior Vice President Communications. It was from 10 years ago. And the only thing,
Good.
to be honest, it reminds me when I look at it is how my skin is aging. But because the truth is that it's very difficult to stick to this career path that we set to ourselves, and it often leads
Mm,
to disappointments. But
right. Right.
what I truly believe in is that beyond career growth, there is personal growth. And
Mm,
by personal growth, I mean growing as a person, not only
mm,
in your knowledge and expertise and experience, which are definitely important, but most
Mhm.
importantly, growing in your values, in your relationship with others, and how to increase your positive impact. And
Mm.
I believe that when we tend to focus too much on career growth, this is actually where it doesn't happen. And it could be really disappointing. So when we
Mm.
are absorbed by understanding ourselves, being a better person every day, helping others, and acting through the lens of our values, this is where the
Mm.
transformation happens. And at
Mm.
that moment, career progress might come or not, or it can mean something completely different. Um, it's a winning situation, and investing in
Mm.
ourselves will never come with any disappointment because you will grow no matter what happens.
Yes.
And I have been through this. At some point in my careers, I have been in extremely competitive work environments, and um, it was done in purpose to put us one against the other, this culture of winners
Mhm.
against losers. and
Mm.
and I
Mm.
remember once, actually in some points of my careers, I was quite manipulative trying to get what I wanted, the job position I wanted. But to be honest, like, years after that, what remains of this? Nothing but a
Mm.
bitter sweet of, sorry, a bitter taste of having compromised on my values,
Mm.
sometimes by
Mm.
being manipulative. So what I'm trying to say here is that career growth without personal growth is a recipe for disaster. And we all
Mm.
have examples around us of senior leaders with, and even head of state, etc., with almost no values.
Mm.
And it leads us to where we are. We are going through exceptional times with exceptional leaders. And as female leaders, I believe that we have the responsibility to set the tone right from the beginning. So we have to do things differently. We have to lead with values, and we have to do it right because it's our opportunity as future or female leaders, to be exceptional. So
Mm.
this is
Great.
the my first point.
Yes.
So I also wanted to talk about mentorship very quickly, but this is nothing to that you we don't know already. Mentorship is very
Mm.
important. I always had very like good mentors all throughout my career. But I wanted to
Yeah.
highlight that mentors come in all shapes and sizes. It doesn't have to be the senior leader or the expert in your industry. In my case, one of the best mentors I had was the personal assistant of the PA, actually, of our CEO. And
Right.
I have learned from her things you would never learn in the best of business schools: internal politics, how to get things done internally, internal stakeholders management, etc. And she was brilliant because she was never using this for her personal benefits. She was
Mm.
brilliant in internal politics, but always to advocate for better working conditions in the factory, getting some temporary workers becoming permanent, these types of things. So what I'm saying here
Mm.
is that mentorship is important. Mentors come in all shapes and sizes.
Yeah.
So we have to try to have as much diversity in our mentors as we can. And and this led me to my last point actually, which is about corporate politics as a force for good. Again, as I said, as my PA, my personal assistant mentor, um, from her I learned a lot of things about how to use corporate politics as a first force for good. And again, as female leaders, I believe we have the responsibility to make it right. We all know how corporate politics are important and effective. So if we are good at it, let's not be individualistic about it. Let's lobby for the common good. Our leaders
Mm.
want us to bring our whole self to work. Let's bring it. Let's speak for those who can't. If you witness an unfair situation, speak up. Use your network of colleagues to, I don't know, talk about issues that impact you as employees. It can be climate change, it can be breastfeeding in the office, it can be flexible working, it can be longer maternity leave, paternity leave, human rights, whatever. Employee activism is on the rise. Let's spread it and let's just be brave about it.
Excellent. No, I love it. I love it. I was actually particularly interested in the adaptability part that you mentioned, Yihan. This is, we live in this like this VUCA world, right? Where there's so much change going on, and so we sort of we can no longer plan our careers and expect things to map out as we initially expect them, right? And especially for women too, right? Starting a family, getting married, starting a family, blah blah blah. And yeah, so it's important to be more flexible. So I think that was really a useful point there. But good. I think we have lots to discuss, Ihan. We're going to obviously bring in our next speaker, Nancy, for Nancy to give us her perspective as well. Hi, Nancy. Yeah, so just say a few words about your career, your role so far, and for you again, what is your what are the experiences that you've had so far that you think that it's kind of shaped you into becoming a better female leader?
Yeah. Thank you, Cyril, for the session we're having today. So I was enjoying listening to Jehan because she tapped into so many good points that I personally agree, and personally happened with me also in my career. So I'm also gonna tap into it and elaborate a little bit further. So my career started with management and HR consulting. So that for me was a great start for two reasons. One, because it helped me to tap into multiple industries. When you're a fresh grad and you're starting and you have doubts, and thoughts about all the industries, it helps you to understand, it helps you to open your mind, like what's happening in those industries, and to identify and find the industry that is closer to your heart, because you get to work with these different industries, understand the ins and outs of what's happening. But it also helps you to tap into different cultures, because you're there, with your clients day in and day out. So to get to witness good culture, bad culture, good values, bad values, and this helps you and makes you mature at a very young age to understand what is a good culture versus what is a toxic culture. And it makes you wonder about your next step and your next move. Where do you want to go and why do you want to go there? Because it's great to have a good job, but it's even greater if you can couple it with good values at work. And values means different thing for different people, but this is where you start evolving, and you start thinking, like, for me, I wanna go into somewhere where it's minimal politics, more collaboration, minimum, for example, person achievement, more about teamwork, and so on. So you start witnessing all those different values, and you start pinpointing the ones that are closer to your heart, and this is how you start to choosing your best move. So this for me was a great start, but really from there, I would say the thing that impacted me the most was my manager and the people that I reported to directly, because they were the people that identified the strength but also the weaknesses in me and helped me to get a better professional. So sometimes we have the luxury to choose our manager, sometimes we don't. Whenever we tap into a great manager who identifies, who sees the sparkles in us and help us to be a better professional, I would say this would be a great combination. And this personally helped me a lot to achieve way better things in shorter period of time. Sometimes you have this, you have your work and you have a manager, and this is where mentors become essential. And this is something that Jehan tapped into. Just to add on her point, it's not just one mentor. You can have multiple mentors. The most important is to identify and to know what you want from each and every mentor. You might have a mentor for your technical aspect of work. You might have a mentor for your personal growth. You might have a mentor for things that are happening in the background. I'm a working mom. I might need the mentorship of another working mom who's struggling to find her work-life balance, and so on. So identify the mentors that matter to you, and understand what do you want from each and every one, and have a plan to work with this mentor. So it helps a lot whenever you know what you need from them, and it helps a lot to achieve tangible results. Rather than having discussions, you would have an action plan, with points, with timelines, and so on. And this is where you see that you're evolving at a faster pace.
Absolutely. Yeah. How old are your children, by the way, Nancy?
She's 3.
I have one, right?
Yeah.
3 years old. That's an awesome age, right? It's okay. Good. I'm just trying to help our audience understand that sort of element of your profile. So that's good to know that you have a 3-year-old. And is that a daughter or a son?
She's a daughter. Her name is Talia. She's about to go to school now. So we're in this phase of preparation for school.
Wonderful. Excellent. Okay, good, good, good. Yeah, and then you mentioned there the importance of mentoring. I think Jihan mentioned this as well. That's really, really important, of course. But would you say was your and you mentioned a manager that you had who was able to motivate you to help you to bring your best self and help you to develop? Was that a female manager? Or was that a male? Just out of interest.
So that was a male.
It was a
But I
male. Okay.
my manager because
Mm,
he had a working wife and he understood, what it takes for a woman to
okay.
excel in her career as well as raising a family with kids and so on. So
Brilliant. Okay.
I was lucky enough to have a manager who
Mm,
understood those struggles, who understood, the effort, the extra effort that you're putting, and
yes.
hence he was, flexible enough to understand what you're going through, but also to
Mm,
offer support.
mhm.
It doesn't always happen. I was just lucky, so I'm not gonna brag about it. I understand that
Yeah.
many cases in many cultures, and work environments, it's not that easy and it's not that
Mm,
simple.
mhm,
But
mhm,
yeah,
mhm.
we're doing this today, and we're doing it every day, basically to raise awareness, about
Yes.
the struggles, the challenges, and so on.
Right.
So
Right.
that we would help each other first. Women should be helping each other. They should be supporting each other,
Yeah.
and this is
Yeah.
why choosing a mentor is really important, because you also need to choose a mentor that inspires you, but also
Mhm.
understand your strengths. And this is why
Situation. Yeah.
women mentoring and supporting women is really, really important. But also we need to
Mm,
talk about it to non females, because they also need to understand what's happening, and we need to work
absolutely.
together to change
Yes.
some of the politics and
Yeah. Yeah.
policies.
Yeah, yes. Yes. Change your thinking. More important, isn't it? Change the bias. From being more kind of accepting of women's circumstances. Um, Awesome. That's really, really great, Nancy. Yeah. So just for our audience's benefit, as you can see, we have our speakers LinkedIn URLs as well is appearing for each of our speakers. So in case you want to reach out directly to any of our speakers, then you're more than welcome to do that. So our speakers have agreed for that arrangement as well. Great. So thank you very much, Nancy. So we will move on to Rowan. Yeah. Let's bring Rowan in and have a similar conversation. Hello, Rowan. How are you? Oh, I think you're on mute, by the way.
Okay, now?
That's better. Yes. Yes. Okay.
Okay,
yeah. So thank
excellent.
you. Yeah. Thank you very much for joining us as well on this conversation. Yeah. So similar question really for you, Rowan. Just give us a quick, an intro of yourself in terms of your profession and of course your family setup, and then you can give us an account of your experience, your growth journey.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
Yes,
excellent.
thank you.
So as you correctly mentioned, so my name is Rowan. Hello to everyone. Thank you for joining. So I'm currently a territory manager for the Middle Eastern and Nordic region for an excellent company called Workato. We are headquartered in Neowise in Barcelona. So I'm live from Barcelona as we speak. So to give you a little background on me personally, so I'm 33 years old. So I've been working for about, about 15 years now, in a range of different jobs and roles. So to give you a little, I guess, personal background, so I was born and raised in a small town next to Toronto, in Canada. And I absolutely loved living there. I studied my university there. And at that point, I lived alone. My family had moved out back to the Middle East. And I absolutely loved living there. I felt I had my independence. I felt I had lived a very vibrant, independent life. It was excellent. But I slowly started to struggle with something, which I've spoken to a lot of my female friends, and they struggle with similar things, which is as a 20-something female, 24 turns to 25, 25 turns to 26, and your parents are not getting any younger. So as you're starting to build your personal life and your personal career, for me anyway, what was a nagging thought was, I'm here, having this great life. Yet, yeah, as I said, my parents are not getting any younger. So it was at that point, that was one of the inflection moments in my career, actually, because I loved my job. I loved the people I worked with. And as I was starting to build a case for, should I move away from the city that I love to moving, closer to home, being next to my parents, as I was building the case for that, the other half of my heart was building a case for staying in the city that I love. So fast forward, I think what that inflection moment taught me in my career is to be very clear about where you're going and why. So as I mentally prepared myself for that move, I thought, okay, what are the things that are going to make this move great for me as well? Yes, I'm going to be closer to my family, but what does it matter to me, Rowan, as a professional? So I created a criteria that I've been using throughout my career, and I'm going to share that with you. So the first thing is around people. So, people are really at the heart of going to work, right? Like today I'm speaking with you. I speak to my colleagues on a daily basis, and how much you enjoy speaking to these people and working to these people will really shape your career. So today I really look at, when I'm joining a company, who are the direct people I'm going to be working with, and who are the people that are going to shape my growth. And I actually proactively, I joined Workato 6 months ago. I proactively looked at what the leadership looks like from a female perspective. Are there females that I can, look up to that look like me, in the sense of have similar career backgrounds, similar, lives, that have grown, and what can I learn from them? So that's one piece, the people. The second criteria I built, I work in sales. So the second piece here is around product. Is this product something, that I would, sell to my mom? Like, is this something that I would sell to my family? Is that, something that is close to my heart? And the last piece there is around opportunity. So am I being set up for success? And I think this kind of touches on what both of the previous ladies discussed, Nancy and Jihan, both kind of mentioned around values. So is this, in line? Is this opportunity in line with my values? Is there opportunity for me to grow? So this criteria was great then, and it's great now. Of course, I've built layers over this. Every year that I grow, I add some color to this criteria, but it's been working quite well for me.
Great. That's awesome. I like the bit that I like about your perspective, Rowan, is the why, right? And we yes, well, our purpose in life, basically. And I personally have been asking myself this question for the past few years too, and I think it's a very, very important question that is, helping to determine what your next step should be. And for it to help you to lead a more meaningful life, right? So
absolutely,
that balance, right? Yeah. So that was really quite good, and I think women can benefit from establishing that, so that they're kind of not being sort of moved from, it's kind of sort of walking through life aimlessly, if you like, right?
Yeah, you need to be deliberate. You need to be deliberate about where you're going, how you want to grow. And I think even in your role, you can work on cultivating that growth. So I'm lucky enough to work with my direct manager is amazing. She's kind of grown in her role, and so that's someone that I'm surrounding myself with. But also I'm very conscious about who's on my team, who's my virtual team of coaches. I think both of the ladies have touched on this. I think it's incredibly important. I have mentally, if I need to discuss something that feels a bit vulnerable to me, I know who I speak to for that. If I'm looking for someone who's going to pump me up and say, this is what you need to do, I have someone for that. So I definitely have my virtual team of allies.
Good, excellent. Yeah. Well, I'm seeing a pattern here with, speaking with all of you, is this recognition on the importance of emotional intelligence, right? And I must admit, I think statistics indicate that women tend to be It's slightly better than men.
Is it just slightly? No, I'm kidding.
In this space, so hence, there's a kind of that's a very, very important positive trait in being the better leader. So that's really great. So yeah, thanks for sharing your insights there, Nancy. Sorry, Rowan rather. So yeah, as you can see, we have Rowan's URL there. So for those of you that would like to keep in touch with Rowan in the background, and hopefully that would be useful. Awesome, right. So now we move on to our final speaker, Shanir. Let's bring Shanir into the frame. Great. Okay, welcome, Shanir. It's really wonderful having you on this webinar with us. We really appreciate it. It would be great to, obviously, for you to just quick intro about what you do in terms of your role, and obviously sharing your experiences as part of your journey through growth. Yeah.
Thank you, Cyril. Hi, everyone. I'm Shanir Khan, Learning Program Manager for Amazon. I come from Kashmir, which is a northmost part of India, full of snowy mountains, by the way. So I do always miss the cold breeze. I mean, I don't know if you agree to that, Rowan, as well. I've been in the learning and development for 7 years now, and it feels like yesterday, especially now that I hear, the amount of work you've done in all the ladies that are on the call have done in their capacity. I worked in diverse organizations and really helped shape our teams to be more efficient by transforming manual processes and drive automation. I'm a big fan of data, and not having come from a computer science background and yet being, tech savvy is quite a blessing. I must share. So my career journey has kind of been similar to my peers on the call today, except I don't have kids or a partner at the moment, but there always comes a time when eventually your parents, they act like kids. So yeah, I'm there. Yes. I started off working part-time and then made very thought-over choices in joining roles and organizations in my initial phase of the career. It's about that time when we're looking for financial independence the most, yet I followed to working in teams where I'll have something to learn while I practice my job as well. So Amazon has been one of the best things that happened to me, and you have to know our recruitment process is very discreet, it's very straightforward, and we do have to agree that and believe that the one that we're hiring is better than 50% of the people who are already working at Amazon. So that was quite a big win when it happened. I started with working in Dubai soon after my graduation, and I do have a personal story to share on this platform on
perfect. We love stories.
Yeah. So while many people also find the weather in UAE challenging in summer, coming from a mountain area where it's snowing half of the year, I actually walked in on my, went on a walk-in on my search for a job until I saw this really fascinating building on the other side of the road, and I started walking towards it. After walking for what seemed like 5 minutes journey, it really was 25 minutes. Well, the proverb, once a desert, always a desert, and then the heat, how full the summer is of heat. So after reaching there, I did not make it inside as I should have had an appointment to get in. So, that's just basic. Of course, I felt bad, and I did leave with a really heavy heart. So yeah, that felt like, okay, this is not working and everything is just falling apart. But here's where this gets really interesting. 6 years later, after obviously I joined Amazon, I drive to my office at Amazon and park my car. I turn around, and that building was right next to my office, with only one difference: that Amazon building was bigger, much bigger. And that happened in the middle of a pandemic. So The whole point of me sharing that story, and by the way, being the first platform where I shared the story, is that as women, sometimes we do doubt ourselves when things don't happen a certain way. And in these moments, you have to reiterate that faith in yourself, that faith in your development, and in the universe that already has a plan for you to reach back from where you started. So just maybe not in the right now, but at the perfect time. We all have our those challenges that we see, but success comes once we've identified those challenges and worked on our barriers by believing in ourselves and by having that faith intact. At Amazon, I joined as a contractor, and within a year, I was promoted to an internal position. So that passion for learning never really ended. As a program manager, there's a lot you have to take care of, and that too when we've got 3 regions in the MENA itself, so it's Middle East, North Africa. And as I look around, I see these lovely ladies even on the call with me. I'm truly inspired on hearing their wonderful stories. My manager at the moment is a woman at Amazon who has done nothing other than support me in my development ever since I've joined. And as leaders, it's really inspiring to see women supporting other women. I think that's the best thing that as women we can do is support other women to be better, have each other's back. So what has really also shaped me in my career is this self-service approach. I mean, I've been able to not have a problem with picking my own boxes, opening my own car door, drive by myself, do my groceries alone, and really take a breather and focus. And this is where I resonate with Amazon, as we're trained to have a self-service approach where all the resources are available to us, including mentors. I have 2 mentors in completely different geographies, and this is the approach that helps us in our professional and personal life as well. And to add to Raban's point, I have as well been constantly considering who are the people I want to be around. And I'm kind of still in the in the idea of how do I put them in different brackets and really categorize and put those criteria around them. But I think the best that you can do is make sure that the toxicity is out of your life, because that can really be very difficult for your personal growth and your mental health as well. So I think taking out that toxicity out of your life, those people that add toxicity, doesn't matter who it is, but yes, getting them out, those people, those specific people out of your life is the best thing that you can do. Figure it out, and then I'll be adding more to those criteria, but toxicity is one of the major criteria that I have at the moment. So
great. Yeah. No, I think there's slight feedback by the way on my side. I'm not sure what it is. I'll continue anyway. Okay, I think it's improving. I think there's no feedback. No, I think your story was awesome there, Jareen, because stories are very, very powerful, a way of getting some messages across. And of course, working for a company like Amazon is not surprised that you're a big fan of data, right? That goes without saying. And I like the fact that you were talking about that the journey through success is kind of is fraught with challenges, right, and disappointments and what have you, and that's quite normal, right? Because I'm sure we have a lot of those of you that are listening in our audience who may be going through some challenges today, but I'm sure the message from Shamir there is that don't give up. Just continue to focus on where you're aspiring to head towards, and eventually you will get there a better person even, right, because of all the challenges that you've had. And you also mentioned about the support system. I think Nancy was also mentioning, as I think most of the ladies have mentioned, there's the importance of mentorship and getting guidance from those that you think can support you, recognizing who they are and then reaching out to them to get that support. Great. Now, so I just have a couple of questions which I'm going to throw to to all of you, and get your thoughts on it. So, I believe from an organization perspective, I think you will agree that leaders want to create an environment of psychological safety, right, where women would feel comfortable to express their feelings, their thoughts, and of course, in terms of their growth, their development, what they what they would like to see that to look like. In your organizations, would you be able to give some examples of initiatives that are in place that are supporting towards this end? How are we creating this environment for psychological safety, especially for women? So this is an open one, for any of you. I would like to go first.
I don't think I can go first. I'm not answering your question, but I have another perspective.
Okay, that's fine too.
I don't think I don't expect my employer to put in place initiatives to. I think if we wait for the initiatives to come, this is where that you can feel disappointed. You just have to speak wherever something. And again, to my point about employee activism, and I'll just give you an example. As working mom, flexible working arrangements are very important. If we don't ask for it, nobody will give it to you. So I think companies have to put in place safe environments where everybody can speak up, but this is applicable for men and women. Yes. It's not only for women. And overall, people, whether they're men or women, should be able to speak up for themselves whenever they need. So I don't advise to wait for the environment to be favorable for you to speak up. You just have to take it yourself.
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective. What do the rest of you think of that? Or is there a different perspective that you can think of?
Yeah, so from my side, I agree with Jihan. I'll give you an example. So I report to the team in Europe. So my 6 p.m. is their 3 p.m. So my 6 p.m. is very precious because this is the time where I feed, I bath, I put to bed, So and nobody cared about my 6 p.m. because nobody knew that time was so precious to me until I one day I said I'm gonna say it to my manager and let's see what happens. So I told her that this like golden hour 6 to 7 is very important. I don't mind working afterwards, but this hour is very precious and I need it. So unless I mentioned it and unless I took an action, unless I talked about it to my manager, it's not like the meeting stopped happening. That would be, an extreme case, but at least now they expect that I might not be there, and it's okay if I'm not there because they know that I need to be somewhere else and I need to respect that. So you need to talk about it. But then again, sometimes it happens because the culture allows it. Sometimes women don't feel that they are empowered enough or they have the guts enough to talk about it or to ask for it. And this is where it becomes more and more critical. And, sometimes just think that if the company is not offering me with this and this and that, then am I in the right company in the first place? And this is where I want to talk about the values and so on. So sometimes when it's so extreme, you need to reconsider the team that you're working with or the company. If you try everything and you try your best and yet you're not being able to be that you're part of it. And something else that worked really hard for me really well is that before I used to put aside that I'm a mom. I used to make sure that there's no noise in the house. I used to make sure that there's no interruption during the meetings. And then it just didn't work for me, specifically with this pandemic and the kids were at home. So now on purpose, like I talk about it more, if she comes to the room to ask for something, it's okay. I would listen to her. So I made it as a part of, because everyone is in everyone's home. I can see all your houses because we are in the houses right now, right? So we need to expect that we need to see this more human side of us rather than the professional and the business women that we are. So we need to that, we need to accept that, and we need to live as one, big team and family.
Yeah. No, I think
That's
it's
true.
you're perfectly right in terms of the culture element, right? There needs to be this kind of holistic organizational, set of values, right, that recognizes the importance of each person's circumstances, and therefore, if you have a specific need, then how do we kind of fit that into the way that we work? So and I think both of you are talking about the importance of empowerment as well, for women to actually speak up, right, and not wait for systems to be in place before speaking up. And I think that's really, really valid. Yeah. So what do you Shanir, because I think you're the one without kids, right? Actually, I didn't ask the question, Rowan. Do you have kids, Rowan, yourself?
No,
You
not
don't? Okay, no, that's perfect. Okay, so we have
yet.
2 ladies with kids and 2 without, which is just right. How does that work for both of you, as women without kids?
So it's really interesting because my really good friend and I were discussing this the other day, and whether or not you have kids, the fact that if you want kids in the future already shapes the way you think about your career. So I noticed this in myself. I thought definitely I would like to have children in the future, maybe within the next, years that I can count on one hand. And so immediately I noticed how I started to think about my career. And I said, well, maybe I should do something more comfortable. And then I stopped myself. No, that's a trap. That's not at all how I should be thinking. In fact, I should go for the role I want, go for the promotion I want, and discuss internally, between myself and my husband, how is that going to change our dynamic?
Yes.
So that's one thing. Another point that I really like that Jihan and Nancy both talked about is the concept of cultivating the environment that you want. So not being a victim, not saying like what Nancy did by saying, this doesn't work for me. Actually, this is what I need. Is something. I'm not sure if anyone has heard of Brene Brown and her stories on shame and vulnerability. Have you girls heard of her? Okay. So she discusses a lot about, even skill set wise, if there's something that you feel you're not good at, name it. Say, I need more coaching on negotiation. Name it, put it out there, and then work on that skills gap. For me, that's another way of kind of cultivating the workplace you want. If you want coaching on something, you want to grow in a role, you have to say it. You have to say, here's my weakness, here's my gap, and here's where I need your help. And that shift in mindset for me was key.
Good. Yeah, thank you, Rowan, for your perspective. Shanir, what is your perspective as a woman without children?
That's okay. So Sarah, a very nice question, and thank you, Rowan. I was thinking, how do I need to answer that without sounding weird? So honestly, I think both those things, my professional life and my personal life, I've been able to keep it separate. But once you have the kids coming in, I don't know how that really would work. But it doesn't depend. The thought or the decision for having kids or not does not depend on my career and how I need to choose my positions and whether it would coincide with my personal life. I think everything has a right time. And that right time for starting a family or having a kids may not be right now, but maybe tomorrow or 5 years down the line. So I am kind of okay with both of those situations. Right now, not having kids, I mean, that's a great situation. Or if I had kids, it would be great. I want to go back to what I said when I was introducing myself, that your parents, I mean it, ladies, they do start acting like kids at some point. And it has been a challenge for me, With that, you can't do it. It's wrong. My father has 5,000 people on Facebook. So I don't even own a Facebook account anymore, but that's what's happening. So, and he's somebody who's always on the call and always on the phone. And I'm like, what are you doing? So please put that down. It's bad. But they're acting kind of like really teenagers. So my mindset is basically always with them. They're not here at the moment because of the pandemic. We're apart. So, but I don't think those two things coincide in my case. So
okay, yeah, and I think to Jihan's point as well is the importance of being able to adapt, right? So rather than have this rigid kind of plan, let me wait, till I have kids and do this career thing, whatever, but just go with the flow, right? And I think that's really great advice. And you just kind of grow through the process anyway, whatever challenges come along with that. Great. Okay. So I think we probably want to give our audience an opportunity to ask some questions as well. Yes, we would like for you, our audience, to post your questions on the live chat there, and we'll bring those into our session so that our speakers can attend to them. That'll be really great. So yeah, I think we've been talking about the importance of culture, and also the importance of women being able to use their own discretion to determine whether an environment is suitable for them. I think all of you were speaking to this, right? So before you go into an environment, kind of do your homework, right? Try to understand who are the people in particular. I think all of you have been talking about this thing about people, right? Who are they? What do they represent in terms of their value system? Before committing into that environment. So that's really useful advice, because we now live in this kind of international space now. So being culturally aware is so important, isn't it? Having a good understanding of how the different geographical locations, cultures, and different geographical locations work. It's really, really important. This is how we forge relationships and we grow this way.
Cyril, if you allow me, I wanted to add something about when something goes wrong during your career and how it's important to invest in your passions. I think this is important whether we have parents, kids, whatever. Having a fulfilled life outside of work is extremely important. And personally, this is something that really helped me throughout very difficult moments. So something that can, first, your ability to unplug when necessary. And this is, and Netflix is great for unplugging because it really hijacks your mind, whether you like it or not. And then, but having your passions. For me, it's mountaineering, hiking, just going outside. Being in Dubai is not very easy because it's like half of the year you are not able to do it. But at least, enjoying the other part of the year and being outside, walking, etc. It really helps balance and think about something else rather than work.
Good.
And so you are refreshed.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Enjoying anything outside of the workplace is quite important, isn't it? Do we have any questions from our panel, Moad and Fatima? I would like to think that we have some questions from our audience.
We have been crystal clear.
Yeah, this is it, right? This is exactly how I read it. When there's no questions coming, that means that you guys have explained everything thoroughly enough. So it's also a good sign. Let's.
You have a question here by Taha. And would you like me to? So during your personal. There you go. So
there we go. Yes, Taya's got it up there, right? Okay, so during your professional journey, was there a specific person, I believe that is right, who heavily impacted your career paths? Yeah, which one of you would like to take that? I think Nancy, you mentioned this already. You kind of gave an example of your direct manager who was quite supportive and motivated you. Maybe you can say a few words about that.
Yeah, sure. So I mentioned my manager, and the reason why I mentioned him is because he was able to pinpoint to really understand who I am as a person, but also as a professional. And then be able to provide, customized advice, because everyone can say, go do your best and I trust in you. But it takes someone extra special to come and say, I noticed that you're good in this and this, and you're actually not so good in this and this. And this is where you need to work on. And this is where, a manager can become more than a manager in terms of making sure, that you're doing all those things in your KPIs list, but you're becoming a better person and you're becoming a better professional, just because he was able to customize that type of advice and to make sure that it is suited for you and no one else, because what works for you might not work for another team member who is also on his or her team. So that would be someone who would really make an impact, as well as a manager where values, like my values and his or her values, would be in perfect match. So what matters to me matters for them and vice versa. And I believe this is where great impact might happen. And there's another question in the panel about, mentors. So a manager can or cannot be the same as the mentor. So it's up to us to choose whether this impactful person that is your manager could be your mentor, or you need someone completely different to be there and give you an independent point of view on what's happening, what is working well, what is not, and what you need to improve. So it's not the case, it's not always the case where the impactful manager is the mentor. Sometimes you need a combination of two so that you make sure that you're on the right track.
Great, thank you very much for that, Nancy. Yeah, do we have any more questions from our audience? I believe that was the only question. Okay, we have another one. Oh, that's a very interesting one for you both. The lowest point in your life, and how did you overcome that? That is a very deep question right there. What do you think, Rowan?
Sorry, I was on mute.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah.
Oof, I don't know. That's a really tough one.
That is, yes.
I would say, and this is, I'm probably not alone here, but the pandemic at the beginning was quite difficult. I wouldn't say it's the lowest point in my life, that's for sure. But there was a time where it was pandemic, and I was also having a little bit of health issues. And that's when you become really grateful for the basics. And it reminds you that actual health is, they always say, your health and your wellness is the most important. And I was reminded of that. It was, to me, anytime you have a little bit of health challenges, it's a reminder from your body to take a minute and to focus back on your wellness, your well-being, and just making sure that all of that's okay. So that was a nice reminder. And today, I think as a result of that time, I kind of don't want to experience what I experienced then. So I'm always checking, taking a check with myself. Like, am I okay? Have I worked out enough this weekend? How's my food levels? I'm kind of taking tabs, because that has a knock-on effect on all the other parts of your life, personal, career, and all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, health is always number one, right? So that's really good advice. Yeah. But how about, what do you guys think? Do you think practicing gratitude can help even when you're at your lowest point? I'll go to Jihan for this, because I think the other question was directed at Jihan.
Yeah. So
what are your thoughts on that? Yeah.
I think, and also this is common to many female leaders, is the imposter syndrome. Whenever you get promoted, whenever you get under the spotlight, you always feel that you don't deserve it. And personally, I always struggle with anxiety. And if you mix the anxiety with the imposter syndromes, it means that even if you are growing in your career, you always feel that you have to prove something to everyone. And and this is something, now I think with the experience, I feel it less. But at some point of career, to answer the questions, I was like almost burning out because of trying to prove to everyone that I was worth it. And I have been through expatriation, so I moved to Dubai, and being expatriate, being promoted, again, you have to double prove yourself and to manage your family. And this is actually where you burn yourself. So
Yeah,
I think this is something that maybe deserve a separate call by itself. But talk about how we women always wants to prove ourselves, much more than ask. And just again, Brené Brown helped me a lot in terms of vulnerability, what it means, how to deal with this anxiety, and gratitude. To your point, Cyril, is practicing gratitude is something also
yes, absolutely,
really
absolutely. Yeah. No, well, listen, ladies, this has really been awesome. I think I would like to think that our audience have taken away a lot from your insights that you've all shared with us. We're just coming up to the hour, so just conscious of time. I'm sure you can agree that we can spend hours talking about all these different topics. But no, we really appreciate your time and your sharing all your experiences here. We had the LinkedIn URLs for each of our speakers as well, so please do feel free to reach out to them if you would like to continue the conversation offline. They'll be happy for you to connect with them. And the next step after this, this is for our audience, is that we would really like for you to provide us with your feedback. So we have this URL, as you can see at the bottom of the screen, menti.com. When you put in this code, then just give us your feedback on how you feel this seminar went for you. Hopefully you gained value from it. So once again, thank you very much, Jihan.
Thank you.
Yes, Rowan, Nancy, and Shanair. It's been really wonderful having you on this webinar. And who knows, we might see you all again with even more stories to tell us. Okay. So yeah, thank you very much again. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, ladies. Bye,
Bye, ladies.
Cheers.